If you're lying in bed at night, completely exhausted, but your mind just won't shut off. If you're staring at the ceiling for an hour, 2 hours, wondering why sleep won't come the way it used to, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to share with you. Because what most people over 50 don't realize is that this isn't just stress. It isn't just getting older. There is something very specific happening inside your body at night. And once you understand it, everything starts to make sense. You are not alone in this, not even close. Studies show that more than half of adults over 50 report regular problems with sleep, difficulty falling asleep, waking up feeling like you barely rested, lying in bed with a racing mind even when your body feels completely drained. And here's what happens to most people. They try everything. They cut back on coffee. They stop looking at their phone before bed. They try relaxation techniques, chamomile tea, maybe even a glass of wine. And still, the sleep doesn't come the way it did when they were younger, so they accept it. They tell themselves, this is just what happens when you get older. This is my life now. But that conclusion, that sleep problems are just a normal part of aging, may be one of the most costly mistakes a person over 50 can make. Because poor sleep doesn't just make you tired. It quietly affects your heart, your memory, your immune system, your mood, and your long-term health in ways that most people never connect back to those restless nights. So before you accept broken sleep as your new normal, stay with me. Because there's something specific going on that most doctors don't spend nearly enough time talking about. Here's where things start to get interesting. When researchers began looking closely at why sleep changes so dramatically after 50, they expected to find the usual suspects: stress, lifestyle, maybe some underlying health condition. But what they discovered went much deeper than that. They found that something was happening at the biological level, something that begins quietly, gradually, starting in your 40s and accelerating through your 50s and beyond. It wasn't about habits, it wasn't about stress management, it was about a specific chemical signal that your body produces, a signal that is absolutely essential for your brain to know when it's time to sleep. And in millions of people over 50, that signal is weakening, fading, sometimes almost disappearing entirely. And the most surprising part, most people have never been told this is happening to them. Now you might be thinking, okay, so what is this signal? What is actually going on inside my body at night? Here's what I want you to understand before I answer that. Your brain has an internal clock. Scientists call it the circadian rhythm. And this clock governs almost everything. When you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, when your body repairs itself, when your hormones release. It is one of the most important biological systems you have. And this internal clock runs on a very specific hormone, a hormone that your brain produces naturally, but only under the right conditions and only in the right amounts. When you were younger, your body made this hormone easily, reliably, night after night. But something changes as you get older, something that most people have no idea is happening. And understanding this one thing could completely change how you think about your sleep and your health. The hormone is melatonin. Now, you may have heard of melatonin, you may have even tried it as a supplement, but I want you to understand what it actually does inside your body, because it is far more powerful than most people realize. Melatonin is produced by a tiny gland in the center of your brain called the pineal gland. As soon as the light around you begins to fade in the evening, this gland receives a signal and begins releasing melatonin into your bloodstream. That rise in melatonin is what tells every cell in your body, it's nighttime, time to slow down, time to repair, time to sleep. It doesn't just make you feel sleepy. It lowers your body temperature, slows your heart rate, reduces cortisol, your stress hormone, and essentially sets the stage for deep, restorative sleep. Here's the critical part. Research has consistently shown that melatonin production begins declining significantly starting around age 40. By the time people reach their 60s, some studies suggest they may be producing less than a quarter of the melatonin they produced in their youth. In some individuals, the decline is even more dramatic. Less melatonin means your brain never gets a strong enough signal that it's time to sleep. You feel tired. You feel like you should be able to fall asleep. But that clear, deep biological signal just isn't there the way it used to be. So you lie awake, you fall asleep late, you sleep lightly, you wake up and can't get back to sleep. This is not weakness, this is not a character flaw, this is biology, and it has a name. But here's something that most people, even many doctors, don't fully appreciate. The decline in melatonin doesn't just affect your sleep. It sets off a chain reaction throughout your entire body. Because melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it is one of the most powerful antioxidants your body produces. It plays a direct role in immune function, inflammation control, cardiovascular health, and even brain protection. So when your melatonin levels drop, you are not just losing sleep. You are losing one of your body's most important nighttime repair systems. And there's one more thing that makes this particularly important for people over 50. The relationship between melatonin and cortisol, your primary stress hormone. These two hormones are supposed to work in opposition. When melatonin rises at night, cortisol drops. When cortisol rises in the morning, melatonin fades. It's a perfectly balanced system. But when melatonin production weakens, cortisol doesn't drop the way it should at night. So even when you're exhausted, your stress hormone stays elevated, your brain stays alert, and sleep, real, deep, restorative sleep, becomes harder and harder to reach. Now let's look at the specific signs that this is happening to you. There are several signs that your melatonin levels may be lower than they should be. See how many of these feel familiar. The first sign is taking more than 30 minutes to fall asleep. You get into bed feeling tired, but your mind keeps running. You shift positions. You check the time. Sleep just won't come easily anymore. The second sign is waking up between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and struggling to get back to sleep. This is one of the most commonly reported sleep complaints in people over 50, and it is closely tied to that drop in overnight melatonin levels. The third sign is waking up feeling unrefreshed. You slept for 7 or 8 hours, but you still feel exhausted. That's because low melatonin disrupts the deeper stages of sleep, the stages where your body actually repairs itself. The fourth sign is feeling more anxious or emotionally reactive in the evening. Remember that cortisol connection. When melatonin isn't rising properly at night, cortisol stays higher. And that can make you feel on edge, mentally busy, or even a little anxious just when you should be winding down. The fifth sign is increased sensitivity to light at night. If a little bit of light from a phone, a TV, or a street lamp seems to really disrupt your sleep now, that's a sign your melatonin system has become more fragile and more easily disrupted. The sixth sign is seasonal changes in your sleep. If your sleep gets noticeably worse in winter when the days are shorter and darker, or conversely, in summer when it stays light longer, this points directly to your melatonin system struggling to regulate properly. And the seventh sign is needing more time to recover from disrupted sleep. You have one bad night, and it takes you 3 days to feel normal again. When melatonin production is low, your body simply doesn't have the same capacity to bounce back. If several of these sound familiar, keep watching, because this next section is very important. Understanding why melatonin production drops is just as important as knowing that it drops, because some of these causes are things you can actually do something about. Age itself is the primary factor. The pineal gland, the small structure in your brain that produces melatonin, gradually calcifies as you get older. This is a natural process, but it directly reduces the gland's ability to produce melatonin efficiently. It is one of the reasons sleep problems become so much more common after 50. Light exposure at night is the second major cause, and it is one that most people are making worse without realizing it. Your pineal gland releases melatonin in response to darkness. But modern life floods our evenings with blue light from phones, tablets, televisions, and LED lighting. Blue light wavelengths are particularly effective at suppressing melatonin production. Research shows that even 30 minutes of phone use before bed can delay melatonin release by up to 90 minutes. Certain medications are a factor that many people never discuss with their doctors. Beta blockers, commonly prescribed for blood pressure and heart conditions, are well documented to suppress melatonin production significantly. NSAIDs like ibuprofen, some antidepressants, calcium channel blockers, and corticosteroids can also interfere with melatonin. If you're taking any of these regularly, this is a conversation worth having with your doctor. Alcohol is another factor. Many people over 50 find that a glass of wine helps them fall asleep, and it may, briefly. But alcohol disrupts the second half of your sleep cycle significantly, suppresses REM sleep, and impairs melatonin release later in the night. That 2 a.m. wake-up that won't let you go back to sleep. Alcohol is frequently a contributing factor. High stress and elevated cortisol create a self-reinforcing cycle. Stress raises cortisol. High cortisol at night suppresses melatonin. Low melatonin means poor sleep. Poor sleep raises cortisol, and around it goes. Low magnesium levels, which are extremely common in people over 50, also play a role. Magnesium is required for the enzymatic process that converts serotonin into melatonin. Without adequate magnesium, your body simply cannot make melatonin as efficiently, even if your pineal gland is functioning normally. And finally, irregular schedules and lack of morning light exposure. Your circadian rhythm is set partly by bright light in the morning. If you're not getting outside early in the day, or if your schedule shifts from day to day, your internal clock loses its anchor and melatonin timing becomes disrupted. The good news is that there is a great deal you can do to support and restore healthy melatonin levels. Let's go through the most effective strategies. Start with morning light. This is the single most powerful and free thing you can do. Getting outside within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, even on a cloudy day, sends a strong signal to your circadian clock. That morning light exposure is what sets the timer for your melatonin release later that night. Even 10 to 15 minutes makes a measurable difference. Control your light environment in the evening. Begin dimming lights in your home about 2 hours before bed. Switch screens to night mode. If possible, avoid bright overhead lighting and use warm, low-intensity lamps instead. These simple changes allow your melatonin to begin rising naturally, which is what your body is trying to do but can't when it's flooded with artificial light. Review your medications with your doctor. If you're on beta blockers or other medications known to suppress melatonin, don't stop taking them on your own. But do ask your doctor whether there are alternatives or whether taking them in the morning rather than at night might reduce their impact on sleep. Address magnesium levels. Magnesium-rich foods include dark leafy greens like spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, and avocado. Many people over 50 find that a magnesium supplement taken in the evening, particularly magnesium glycinate or magnesium taurate, not only helps with sleep quality, but also with the anxious, restless feeling that prevents them from winding down. Consider a low-dose melatonin supplement. This is where many people make a common mistake. They take too much. High doses of melatonin, 5 mg, 10 mg, are not more effective and can actually disrupt your sleep architecture over time. Research suggests that doses between 0.3 mg and 1 mg are often more effective for adults over 50 because they more closely mimic the body's natural production levels. The goal is not to flood your system. It's to supplement what your body is no longer producing in sufficient quantities. Take it 30 to 60 minutes before your intended sleep time. Always speak with your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you are on medications. Reduce alcohol in the evening. If you do drink, try to finish your last drink at least 3 hours before bed. And notice whether your sleep quality, particularly in the second half of the night, improves. Keep a consistent sleep and wake schedule, even on weekends. This is one of the most underrated sleep interventions. Your circadian rhythm thrives on consistency. Going to bed and waking at the same time every day helps anchor your melatonin cycle and gradually improves both sleep onset and sleep depth. Tart cherry juice is worth mentioning as a natural food source. Tart cherries are one of the few foods with a meaningful natural melatonin content. Some research has shown that drinking tart cherry juice in the evening can modestly increase melatonin levels and improve sleep duration in older adults. Let's bring this together. If you've been lying awake at night wondering why sleep has become so much harder, why your mind won't settle, why you wake up at 3 a.m., why you never feel truly rested anymore, the answer may not be in your habits or your stress levels alone. The answer may lie in a gradual, natural, but very real decline in one of your body's most essential sleep hormones, melatonin. This decline begins in your 40s and accelerates through your 50s and beyond. It is driven by the natural aging of your pineal gland, by the light environment modern life has created, by certain medications, and by nutrient gaps like low magnesium that quietly undermine your body's ability to produce this hormone. But the critical thing to understand is this: melatonin is not just about sleep. It is about overnight repair. It is about immune protection. It is about keeping inflammation under control. It is about protecting your brain. Every night you spend in shallow, fragmented, unrestorative sleep is a night your body missed its window to repair and restore itself. Understanding this and taking thoughtful steps to support your melatonin system may be one of the most important things you do for your long-term health after 50. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you struggle to fall asleep? Do you wake up in the middle of the night and lie there for hours? Have you ever tried melatonin? And did it help or not? Leave a comment below and tell me your experience. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video helped you understand something that no one has explained clearly before, please give it a like. It helps more people over 50 find this information when they need it most. And if you want to keep learning about the hidden connections between nutrients, hormones, and your health after 50, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Your sleep matters, your health matters, and you deserve to understand what's actually happening in your body. I'll see you in the next one.